This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with SB Sports. We're delighted to be joined once again with the champ, Jamie Morrissey. How are you, mate?
What's happening, Steve? How are you, brother? I'm good, man. I'm in good form. Um, just here, nice Saturday morning. About to go into do a gym, into the kids' class for the gym for 11:30. But what can I say, bro? A fighter's life. Another fresh morning, and yeah, ready to go for another weekend of training, bro.
We can sort of see that I guess you're deep in camp now. It nearly probably you haven't really had much of a hangover sort of since your last fight with Kevin, and the fact that you're straight back in the deep end again, and obviously you're showing the war wound to preparing for another fascinating contest in just under 5 weeks' time.
That's right, Steve. Yeah, there's no way. I suppose, like, what was it? There was a gap between. I probably took 2 weeks off training, so there's no way that 8 weeks that I prepared for the Celtic title fight could have diminished in any sense. So I was straight back in. I was a little bit sick after the fight. I don't drink or smoke anymore, so I didn't have any of that to worry about. But in the sense of, I did develop a nasty enough chest infection, but I was back in the gym pretty much a fortnight after the fight. I took a wee trip to Budapest, and I was straight back in the gym. So there's no way I could have lost the progress made in that camp. And now it's time to try and take it to the next level for the remaining 5 weeks of this camp. But I've been hard in camp. I've been sparring hard, working hard, and preparing for another war.
And I know that sort of in fight week as well, and it shows the nature of the person that you are, Jamie. That even though you obviously were victorious and everything else, you'd sort of coming down with a bit of a cold or a bit of a flu, as you said, sort of like a chest infection. But you didn't obviously make any excuses. You won, and I guess sometimes there's no excuses when you do win, but you weren't obviously probably 100%. It's fair to say on fight night.
I wasn't too well, Steve. I wasn't too well, to be quite honest, but I don't want to touch on that. I'm sure Kevin was dealing with things of his own, so it's part of the game, man.
And obviously, I just saying the off camera before we start, you're just about to be on the verge of being 2 years a professional boxer. When you first signed and pro and everything else, could you imagine that your 2 years could have went the way it is? You're a two-weight Celtic champion. On your sixth fight, you're going to fight for an Irish title. You would have probably snapped somebody's arm off for that sort of, in advance, where they say, here's where you're going to get to in 2 years' time. Could you imagine that these 2 years could have went any better for you?
I suppose I always kind of believe myself, Steve. I feel like it's kind of close to the door. Well, as a kickboxer, also quick. To be honest, I wasn't really technically good as a kickboxer. I didn't feel, but I had a lot of heart and a lot of will to win, and I feel that plays into me. I threw my first punch in training at 22 years old after college, and what plays into my head is I never looked at another man as Superman. I never looked at, whereas people would say even if I fight out, oh, stay away from that guy. He's an Irish champion. Where honestly, I never, not to my own. I never looked at people as Supermen, so I didn't see that as something that was impossible to go and do whatever they were doing. But then again, I'm very, very pleased with it. But I also have to add that I know that I've been such a fallen countless times in my life, and like me on my own, it's just impossible to do anything. I couldn't use the God of any things that I've had to play. Because I've asked, like, people wonder, why hasn't God done that in my life? Well, God isn't going to do this in your life. The call on then you think it's you. If your pride was well, your ego was well. When you call on God and ask Him, He will do things. And my relation to God is the single most important thing in my life. And I know that He's had to say something I've been in my boxing there.
We just apologise, obviously, for the sound there. I think we're sort of losing you a wee bit. I think maybe when you closing the door, you might maybe have lost some of the signal. You're out in the sticks today. So obviously we'll make apologies for that, and hopefully it doesn't carry on. I guess obviously the rematch with Kevin, you could have probably held off and had another fight in between times. What was it? Obviously just the fact that the rematch just made sense to happen straight away.
Why jump right back in, Steve?
What was that? Sorry.
Is that what you're asking? Are you asking why jump straight back in?
Yeah, I guess sometimes you could have probably, taken another fight. Sometimes we see with rematches, there's sometimes a fight in between the rematch sort of then happening. Was it just the fact that, as you've always said, that you're a fighting man, you'll fight anybody, you don't care about records and everything else? Was it just that it made sense to get back? And was it the respect that you probably have for Kevin in defeat that sort of said that, well, look, I'm happy to get straight back in and do it again?
Well, like, look, after the fight, I was saying he deserved his rematch. So, who was I to, why delay it? Why delay it? If I believe I'm better, go and prove it. And then also the fact that the platform it's on a great platform. It's there's a huge prize. There's a huge prize. The Irish title is a belt. Honestly, I've dreamed of that before any Celtic title, I believe. So it's a big prize on the line, and it's an incredible platform. So why not, Steve?
I'm just going to sort of touch on that. I know that initially you were looking obviously last year at fighting in America. You're now going to be streamed worldwide on ESPN Plus. Obviously fighting in I'm probably regarding probably the biggest promoter, obviously in Ireland in Conlan Boxing. Where you say there when you look at it and you go, look what's on the line. It's not only the build, it's the platform, it's the exposure and everything else. It couldn't work out any perfect for the rematch.
Absolutely. And look, the two of us deserve it, man. The two of us deserve it. Like, Joe, it's regardless of what else happens in both of our careers, we can always look back on nights like the last day and stuff like that. Is a night that people will remember. From what I heard of people seeing it, I don't believe that people watch the video and they say it doesn't do it justice, because up close and personal, it was a true war. And their nights, that's something that no one can ever take away from us. We went to war, real Gaddy Ward style, as Kevin put it initially, and no one can ever take that away from us. So we both deserve a platform like this. We're not paid enough for nights like that. We're simply not paid enough. We put our health, our well-being on the line, all for the love of the sport and for something that we're trying to achieve, and for also other external motives. But I think we both deserve it. So well done to him, and praise God. It's good to be here.
I must say the atmosphere, obviously, in the first match in Belfast, it was only just last month, and it still reigns in my head. Sort of, I can remember quite a lot of the fight, but I can obviously remember Kevin's lot having the drum, your lot obviously next to them, obviously going mad. You obviously wouldn't soaked in probably too much atmosphere because you're focused on the fight, but it obviously adds to the theatre. And I guess now it's probably going to be 3 times the size of the venue. I think it's 1,500 looking in Salt Hill, obviously in Galway for the rematch. And I say the story and the build up, these are just two absolute gentlemen as well. So, regardless of whoever wins and whoever loses, or even if it ends up a draw, these are both going to become superstars of the domestic scene in Irish boxing.
That's certainly the aim, Steve. We have I don't know what Kevin's story is. I have a mission that I've held close to my heart from the very get-go, from the start of all this, and I'm really getting there now. So I firmly believe God has a plan for me, and I believe His will be done. It's my job to show up there, ready to give it all, for what I believe in and for what I want. And the rest in God's hands. I firmly believe that. So I'll be there, ready for war, ready to leave my soul in there as usual.
Did you obviously? I know when initially, obviously after the fight, I'd obviously said that I'd scored the fight. To Kevin, I thought he'd won it. When I watched it back, I actually scored it a draw. Have you watched the fight back? Do you go back and look over fights to see what you done good, what you done bad, or do you just what do you sort of do? Do you watch the fights back in any way, or do you just leave it to Sean to come up with a plan?
I watched the fight back multiple times, Steve.
And what obviously when you look at the fight back, obviously, are you critical of your performance in ways? Obviously, you started like a train, and probably the seventh round was probably Kevin's. It was probably the most clearest round probably of the fight, I would say.
Yeah.
What way does that score in your head go? Get into the rematch. Do you sort of look at it as if the fight could go either way? Like Kevin could have a strong start and you could have a strong finish. What way do you sort of look into the rematch?
Into the rematch. What way am I looking at that in the rematch? I believe that we're both going to come in with our plans, and it wouldn't be a wise thing to speak about them too publicly here, Steve. But yeah, I watched the fight back. Great fight. Very critical of my performance at times. In the other stages, I did very well. I 100% scored a fight for myself. I think at best, like I give Kevin 7 and 8. For to even score or draw, I have to give him 2 and 3. In which case, I'm being quite generous. But look, the scoring is subjective. Scoring is scoring is subjective. So I suppose I can't take too much away from people saying what they did or scoring it in the manners in which they did. Like I said, scoring is subjective. I got the nod that night. I have to go and do it again. I need this. I must go do it again. And for my mission to prevail, I have to go and do it. So, like I said, I'll be there ready to leave my soul in there. I'll be coming in with a plan, and the rest is in God's hands. I firmly believe that.
And your third title fight in 6 fights as well. You know, it's quite remarkable. Like, I'm sure people had to do a lot of digging to find that someone could fight for three different belts in the first 6 fights, and they become the first owner of the new BA Irish title as well. Like, this is you chasing greatness. This is you sort of setting new boundaries. You're not only a two-weight Celtic champion, but you're now going to become the first of the new belt for, you know, potentially obviously the first of a new belt for the Irish title. You know, at what point do you start believing in obviously your own confidence and dreams? Not that you don't believe, but obviously that where you keep pushing these boundaries down. Is it, do you just try and stay grounded as much as possible and not get too much ahead of yourself?
Well, I believe I'm going to keep coming back to God with that, Steve. Is like the most powerful thing you'll have in a relationship. I know that I'm absolutely nothing. I know I'm nothing, and probably at my most counterproductive stages of my life, I thought I was something. I really thought I was something. My ego was in control. Steve, will you just excuse me while I get a quick, just a bottle of water?
Yeah, certainly.
Uh, So at the most counterproductive stages of my life, I thought I was something. So for me, it's never difficult to stay grounded. I don't believe. I still, in a lot of senses, feel like nothing. You know what I mean? I went and I thought I was the bee's knees when I knocked out Wayne Cambridge for the Irish Thai boxing title. I got quickly humbled after that, so I learned those lessons quick. I know that I'm nothing, but through God, I'm something. So through knowing Jesus, I know I'm something. Other than that, no, it's not hard to stay grounded. But am I seeing my dreams materialize or making them easier to believe? Honestly, I always had an irrational belief in myself and an irrational belief in my dreams. And I believe that's one of the most necessary components in terms of materializing those dreams. So, no, I had the same belief from the start, to be honest.
Obviously, I know you've obviously a fond love of Belfast, and obviously we were speaking to Padraig McCrory obviously on Thursday, as he prepares for his next fight, and he was obviously letting us know that you're obviously going to be sharing some rounds with him. Not only is your love of Belfast, but you and obviously Paddy have become probably quite close to probably say in a fair way. So I believe that you and Kevin probably are both going to share rounds with him in the lead up to the fight, but what was this sort of, I guess you want to be in there sort of with the best in the sort of division so you can sort of learn and adapt from that as well?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Like, Paddy's a world champion and Paddy's been killing it since he got going. So to go up there, it's that's a privilege and a delicacy that most fighters aren't able to have an IBO champion 4 hours up the road. Like, so, uh, it is invaluable to go up there and do those rounds with him. And Paddy's the kind of guy. I think he's a good dude. So he's not gonna speak on either of us in relation to styles or what way we are. So it's a win-win in every sense.
I think you and Kevin probably know each other well enough now. He's obviously have sparred previously. He's obviously fought. So regardless of probably sometimes what we prepare, preparation's nothing. Obviously, if you don't come into the fight thinking the best and the worst case of every scenario, so someone could say Kevin's done this through it, can't be preparing in this way, but come fight night could completely different.
Absolutely. Yeah, I believe that Kevin will switch up his style somewhat, and yeah, we know each other quite well. And you know what? In truth, not even just in relation to being fighters, you get to know each other's character quite well in an 8 round war like that. So we know what to expect from each other. I expect another war. Uh, I think that yeah, he's made it tough stuff. I know I am myself, so I'll be ready to bring it. I'll be ready for whatever he brings. Also, it's going to be a good one, man.
And another new location as well. Like obviously you fought in the Czech Republic, you fought in Scotland, you fought in Belfast. You're obviously now going to fight in Galway and the first time in the south of Ireland as a professional. When was the last time you fought? Obviously in the south, it must have been a good few years ago in the Muay Thai.
It would have been, yeah, it would have been in Dublin about 6 months prior to signing my pro contract with Stephen Sharp. So it's going back that far, Steve, and like I said, another delicacy, something I'm very, very grateful for. And just in relation to my family there, my mother's aunt, Auntie Anne, uh, area, Galway,
Just completely lost you there, obviously, on what you were saying. You were
hello?
obviously mentioning your Auntie Anne.
Yes, my mother's Auntie Anne, so she passed away last night, and she's from that area, Galway. So I look forward to getting the family together and putting on a show.
I'm
Rest in
very
peace to
sorry to
her.
hear. Very sorry to hear that. Obviously, make condolences, obviously, to you and the family. Do you obviously then obviously does that obviously add something more to the fight, and obviously the fact that obviously your aunt's memory, that I know in a few of your fights you've obviously passed on, messages obviously in t-shirts and things like that for others that have passed. So that obviously fighting and that burning desire within you obviously goes further now as well.
Absolutely. Well, it for sure adds a little bit more incentive. I'm very lucky to come from a great family, man. And a family that, yeah, like many families, life is tough. Like a lot of families have had a couple of tough years out there, so it definitely adds extra incentive. And like I said, I'm very, very blessed to come from a good family. My mother and my father gave me every opportunity in life, so to try and make them proud and try and represent them in the proper manner is something that I'm going to set out to do once again. So just grateful, Steve, very, very grateful. I just want to I thank the likes of yourself. I thank every media outlet for giving us the opportunities to do this. And just thanks to Conor Boxing and even just talking there, Stephen Sharp, Leonard Gunnan, and the main man, Ian Cochran, Robert Ng, and Sean Kelly for opportunities like this, being part of the team, of a rock solid team. And here we are with the opportunity of doing it again, man. So, like I said, I'll be there coming to leave my soul and ready to represent everyone from my family, those on this earth and those who have left the city, and my mission and God's will for me. So life is good, man, and it's good. I believe I'm in God's will, and nothing. There's no higher purpose for anyone than God's will. So I'm grateful, and yeah, I'm just grateful at the minute. Very grateful, bro.
Well, now, obviously, finally finish off, obviously, and I know sometimes people don't like to make predictions. Obviously, Kevin Cronin obviously believes that he may be able to get a stoppage, and obviously his rematch.
He
Do
said
you
that the first
obviously?
time as well, though, didn't he?
What was that?
He said that the first time as well, I believe.
I can't remember if he said about stoppage. I would obviously have to go back and look, but obviously he believes he may get a stoppage. You sort of, I know you're obviously very polite and everything else. You don't really sort of like to be respectful in any ways. Is it just more a case for you that no matter what, it's all about winning?
It's all about winning, Steve. It's all about winning. I'm not Mystic Mac. I'm not Conor McGregor in his head. I'm just going to give it everything everything in my being to win the fight. What I will say is I'm not the same individual as I was in the first fight. I want to take this opportunity to say to anyone that was listening that I suffered from obsessive compulsive disorder my whole life. My whole life since I was a kid, I suffered from obsessive compulsive disorder, which made every day somewhat torturous, like in terms of intrusive thoughts, rituals. So first off, I want to put out, I want to spread the name of OCD. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's a truly debilitating, horrible, and torturous mental disorder. But about close to a week after the fight, I believe, about 2 weeks after, I was giving my testimony at church of how I came to God, and there was hands laid on me, and I was healed by the living God. That glory to God in this interview and tell people about that, and I'll be speaking more after the fight in relation to that. So I'm not the same individual. That's one thing I will say. My mind is a lot more freer. I've been healed by the living God. I'm going to take every available platform to tell people about that. And it's not to gloat or anything like that. It's all about the glory of God. So I just want people to know that whatever it is you're going through life, we're in extremely, extremely dark days. That a miracle landed on my doorstep. I was healed by the living God. I'm going to grab the mic after Conor Box. I'm going to tell the world about it. But miracles are possible. Call on God, because right now it is light against darkness. It's absolutely light against darkness, and people aren't designed to do it on their own. So I'm telling you, for the simple reason that God is there, you just need to call on Him, and miracles are possible. All things are possible with God. Knocking, it should be opened. Ask, and you shall receive. And a miracle landed on my door. I'm not the same person.
Definitely. Well, obviously, apologies again, obviously, for the breakages, obviously, within obviously the interview there, and obviously with the signal and things like that. But Jamie, obviously, I wanted to get you on it, obviously, a few weeks out from the fight, so we can let you obviously prepare. I know I done Kevin's last week, and I'm doing yours today. Obviously, all the very best of luck over the next 4 or so weeks of camp, and we'll see you in Galway on April 21st. With what truly, obviously, I believe will be a rematch, will hopefully be better than obviously the original.
Thank you very much, Steve. Listen, yeah, thank you for your time this morning, and yeah, it will be another good one. I believe it's going to be another great fight. So I'll be there ready for war. I'm sure Kevin will as well, and we'll produce the goods once again. Conlon Boxing, big platform.
Definitely. Well, thanks very much for your time, Jamie. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch up with you very soon.
Thank you.
Cheers. Take
God
care.
bless, brother.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Bye.